Audio test, 1, 2.
I'm out every day.
You have
They'll be all right. I guess.
Thank you.
Yep.
Now, those were really nice. Those things were very nice. It's,
Let me get your chair.
I mean, the ROI. Don't wanna do the.
He would.
such a sweet.
That's about, that was a little bit. When I bought the house, they just didn't want it.
Still not happy.
Sometimes you break the picture, that makes
Too much break.
It looks good to smell.
Well, yeah, we'll just interact this much.
Thought about putting bucket collector in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Go back over.
Play the game, take it.
Put it on the other side.
Good evening.
Bunch of water.
Welcome to the March board meeting. We're glad you're all here. Skylar is not with us this evening. Her father has passed away. So if you would like to think about her and her family in our prayers tonight, she has asked us to remember them, and we certainly will do that. And we don't know anything else for that. So we're going to miss her tonight, but she'll catch us up at the next meeting. So let's stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's have that moment of silence. Thank you. All right, we have a consent agenda which has the regular agenda approval and the minutes, and also the approval of the letter of assurance for special program of study. Does anybody want to take any of those off? And if not, we need a motion to approve. Peggy's made the motion, second Tom, all those in favor, say aye. Aye, it's unanimous, perfect. All right, Dr. Dyer.
Okay, director's update. We'll go to the screen here. And good evening, good to see you all today. And I'm going to take you through a few updates that we have as we get to prepared and come down toward spring break, which is almost here, which is absolutely crazy to think about that after spring break, 9 weeks of school to go. But first off, I want to thank Vocker Chemicals. Vocker had a donation of 5,000 face masks for Cleveland City Schools, and those are now in the hands of Laura Hudson with Coordinated School Health, so we can use those to distribute on school buses or in our school buildings or whatever the case may be. So we appreciate Vocker for that donation and for the partnership in general that they have with our school district. So that was very nice. Jeff is going to touch on this more in detail, but I just want to say thank you to everyone who either came and got the vaccine or participated in running the vaccination clinic on Saturday, and thank you to Cherokee Pharmacy for that partnership as well. We had a plan to run our own and have our own facilities and everything and work with Tennessee Department of Health, but Cherokee Pharmacy came in and they were great partners with this and just did a phenomenal job. So super thank you to them, but also to our many employees that were here on Saturday making everything work. And I saw the Facebook post and everything else, the same things you probably saw, and people were just really praising the efforts put in. So thank you to everyone, Jeff, everyone involved in making that day come to life. The Blade project, we talked about this a little bit this morning at our staff meeting, that the laptop distribution is going extremely well for grades 3 through 5. That process is well underway at this point, and very excited to go out and see our students using those laptops and putting them to good use in our buildings. If you follow social media for any of the schools for elementary, you've probably seen pictures of that happening as well. So very excited about that, and now we're just looking forward to our K through 2 deployment whenever those come in. And as far as I know, we don't have a date as of right now for those, but at some point, those will be here and those will be distributed, and we'll have a full one-to-one network of K through 12, and that is phenomenal. That is something to be very proud of, and thank you to the board for your vision in that. As far as Tennessee Department of Education, I just want to let you know, I'm continuing to be part of the academic engagement group. In fact, we have another meeting coming up this Thursday, and we really have shifted more from just COVID type things to looking ahead of what kind of legislation is coming down the pike and things that we need to be thinking through. The summer learning camps, those kind of things. They're asking for a lot of feedback from superintendents on procedures and forms and how do you go about getting waivers, and that's good. I'm glad that they're asking, that way we can give some feedback. I will let you know I'm part of a new group that is the Policy Implementation and Operations Committee. And that's working with the commissioner, officials from the education committees on the General Assembly, such as the chairman of the different committees dealing with education, and the governor's office. So again, it's another group of small group of superintendents and those folks looking at policy implementation and the operations of our education network here in Tennessee. So that's another great one to be part of. Last week, or I guess it was 2 weeks ago, the AASA National Conference on Education was all virtual this year. It was scheduled to meet in New Orleans, but this is not the year for that. So we met online, and I had the opportunity to share in a breakout session about capturing kids' hearts and our work at the middle and high school level, specifically dealing with capturing kids' hearts and the different designations and great things that are happening because of that program. So it was good to share that with a national audience, and we've already had some feedback, people asking for additional information and things. So Diane Wilbert and Jason, of course, from the high school, who used to be at the high school, both came in that day, and we were able to present together on that. I do want to congratulate our wrestling team at the high school. They will be a spotlight in April. They're gonna come by and be seen by the board. Hopefully we can do that in person. But they did win the Class AAA duals and traditionals, and they broke some records this past weekend. So very happy for them, and congratulations to them for the work they did. Today we did have a press conference, and hopefully you were able to watch that online. If not, we do have the link that's actually on the Mix 104 Twitter page and other things, but we can get that to you as well. And it was short, sweet, to the point. We were able to get across what we're trying to get across, but I did want to make an official statement on an exciting development with our first partnership with Cleveland Utilities under our CAPS logo and brand name as far as that goes. This is something that I'm extremely proud of. We would have done this earlier, but COVID did somewhat steal the thunder on that, and we needed to put priorities where priorities needed to be. But now we're moving ahead with things, and this is very exciting and going to be really fun to watch and see where this goes. Before I get to the last one, I do want to make you aware that Sherry Cry is retiring from the chamber at the end of March. So this will be her last official meeting here in that capacity. So congratulations to you, and we will see you in other ways, and I'm sure you'll continue to be active in the community. So
He can still come visit us.
exactly. But we appreciate.
Once a month, every Monday.
Well, that's what I really did.
No, but we appreciate our partnership with the chamber. In fact, we had a Zoom with the chamber about CAPS last week, just to make sure that they're in the know about things that we're doing and the partnerships that we're looking for. So thank you for everything, and we'll continue to see you around, I'm sure. So with that, my final statement is just a reminder, spring break is March 8th through the 12th. So coming up very soon, and our offices and schools will be closed that week. So So that's my update.
And it marks the big milestones, because when we broke for spring break last year.
Yes.
that was the last
Yes,
time we
I
were-
was, I run to Argentina and Jeff was here and off to the races we went, starting a year ago next week. So let's not do that again.
All right, Dr. Dyer, you just keep going there. I think you've got the next few items of the policies are there.
Okay, so let me pull up my computer again with the sleep. Gotcha, here we go, there we go, don't even need my computer, got it right here. All right, starting with our first one, 5.100, there are two policies up for first reading tonight, and these are both based off new State Board of Education policies that are now in place regarding educator diversity. And you can see that on 5.100, there's a new number that's been added, number 3. One of the goals for the board, personnel goals, are to set goals for educator diversity that take into account the diversity of the student population. And then if I can go into the second one real quick, and for any questions, 1.700, school district goals. And on page 2 at the top, under personnel, to set goals for educator diversity that take into consideration diversity of the student population. So two very similar lines there, but are very much necessary and needed, and something that we've been working on, I know, for the last few years. And one of the things that, just a sidebar, that we discussed even today, we had a pretty lengthy meeting this morning of the cabinet looking at budget. One of the things that we're moving toward is hopefully being able to fund a teacher at the high school that will be a grow your own teacher, where we can have students involved through CTE and learning to become teachers and going down that road so that we can hopefully grow our own teachers in the future that are now high school kids, but at some point go to college, and we want to teach them. We had a long talk about this, and you know, one of the things we realize and we know is we're teaching, right now we're training people to do a lot of jobs, but not teaching, not our own careers. So this is something we need to change. You know, if we're going to teach people how to be videographers and teach people how to run machinery, then we need to teach people how to become teachers as well. And that's an important part of the pipeline that we want to work on here. So that's just one of the ways we're going to be tackling this. We also have, of course, our diversity council that's working hard at this and helping HR develop ideas and ways that we can go out and recruit once recruitment can be in person again. But also right now, how we can do that virtually and through other means. So we're taking this very seriously. This is something we've been looking at before the state board had passed any of the regulations on this, but we will continue to do that. It's something that we're definitely needing to do.
Dr. Dyer, didn't they get some practice doing that with the leadership classes?
Leadership classes are doing some of that, yes, ma'am. Leadership classes have been going out to elementary schools and leading leadership groups there. So to some degree, yes, but this would actually go into teaching, how do you teach pedagogy? You know, how do you teach reading? How do you teach this, that, and the other? And talking about what it takes to become a teacher and what it's like, and actually going out and doing real observations of elementary classrooms as a high school kid to see if this is something that you truly want to do. So this is not brand new. Other districts have been doing this, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it better. So.
Is that something you see maybe becoming a track at the high school, an area of concentration that they can?
It could very well, you know, and we don't know exactly what the level of interest would be, but we will, I think, as we start that group, a lot of times you'll start smaller, and then as it gains traction. But you need the right person leading that. You need somebody who's somewhat charismatic, somebody who knows a lot of different levels. It doesn't have to be a high school teacher. For this position, you could hire an elementary teacher or a middle school teacher to go teach that at a high school. But you need the right person who can really attract students to that program and be a good fit for that. So it's something that we will be looking at. Of course, it's a budget decision because we'd have to put a new teacher at the high school for that. So we will come to you and bring these different areas and see what you approve.
Motion first, and then have more discussion. Nate will make the motion to accept policies on the first reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All right, now is there any more questions? Are there any more questions? Comments? I'd like to make one comment, and that is our high school and our elementary schools are full of students who came through Cleveland City Schools. So even though we didn't grow them, we really kind of did. without having a program to do that.
Absolutely.
And we're so delighted that they wanted to come back and
Yeah.
teach inclusion.
I agree 100%.
So that's pretty special. All right, take a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, okay. And I will say that, I think that having a class that will attract the students to do that profession will they'll either stay with it or they'll decide they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I agree.
it'll be
I agree.
a good opportunity for them. All right, Dr. Dyer, if you want to move on to the strategic plan focus tonight?
Yes, I do, and this is exciting. This is an exciting proposal I'm going to put out in front of you tonight. The strategic plan focus tonight is dealing with our employees. And employees are a big part of our strategic plan, and this fits right in with the aim that we're trying to provide the best we can for them. So if we can go to the next page. Tonight, I want to talk about the employee bonus proposal that we've been discussing internally, and now we're bringing to the board for a vote. Now, you will see an asterisk is up there, and I'll explain that as we get into this a little bit more, because there are some funds that we'll be using for this that must go through state approval because it deals with those federal dollars coming from ESSER, which is some legislation from the federal government. So I just want to make sure that's very clear. So what we're proposing to the board is for this school year. So we're talking about later this year, once all the approvals are in place, some bonuses that we would be able to provide to all groups of employees within Cleveland City Schools. So the legislation is clear that certified employees are the ones who receive the raise, the bonus funds that are allotted from the state as far as state dollars that are new this year that the governor proposed in our special session of the General Assembly. For us, that was around $265,000 that we received, and look at Cindy to make sure that's right, around $265,000 that was received from the state, and those funds are only dedicated to certified personnel and school nurses. School nurses were put in there as they very well should be. So what we're proposing is that we take that $265,000 for certified and add some of the funds from ESSER, which is the federal money, in order to provide all certified full-time employees a $1,200 bonus at the end of this school year. Now, these are one-time dollars. That's why this is not going into the salary scale, because we can't necessarily sustain that unless new money comes in for the VEP with the new budget that's going through the state. So that can be a little confusing, but just know this is one-time money. The ESSER dollars, one-time money. The state infusion right now, that $265,000 is one-time money. This is not ongoing. So again, for certified full-time employees, we're recommending and proposing a $1,200 per employee bonus that would come later this year. For classified full-time employees, we're proposing a $600 bonus, one-time bonus, using complete ESSER dollars. So that's all federal money that we would be using for that. And for our many part-time employees, we're talking about a $300 bonus using ESSER dollars. And you can see the total amounts of those that are listed there. The total funds allocated for this would be $600,635.12, which is a lot of money. And that is a combination of both the federal ESSER dollars and our state dollars of $265,000 and some change that only can be used for certified. So that is our proposal that we're putting out to you for your approval. Again, we must get state approval for the ESSER amounts before we could use those dollars for this. But we think we've done a good job of being able to prove that these are COVID-related expenses, and this is something that I think the state would approve. So I can't guarantee that until we get it in writing from the state, but I think, we think we would be in good shape.
So let's get a motion on the proposal first, and then we'll have our discussion.
I make that motion. Second.
Okay, Charlie and Nate. All right, now we'll have discussion. Who was there?
Part-time employees, now that's bus drivers.
It could be, well, they're bus drivers, or it could be teacher assistants possibly who are, that are part-time. I will tell you too, school nutrition folks are part of this, so it's not separate in this, a lot of times it's separate funds, but these, our school nutrition folks are included in what you're seeing here too.
So everybody's covered somewhat.
All employees that we have under Cleveland City Schools are included in this amount.
The 600,000 total is ESSER. Then you add to that the state funds, which are
Right,
256,000.
so it should
It's
be
like
total ESSER funds.
856,000.
Yeah, total ESSER funds. I just love that ESSER out. Sorry.
This is a year they deserve it more than, I mean, principals, teachers, assistant principals, everybody, because
Yeah.
I've talked to people at all three levels, and they've gone beyond their normal duties. I think it's well deserved.
Right, I do too.
You know, what I've noticed too, is they all have such a wonderful attitude. I mean, they're happy to be here.
Mhm.
They're happy to be working with the kids and glad that we're having school. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate their attitude about it.
Me too.
No, Kelly Bender's always posting about fierce pride,
Right,
right? On her social media, and that fierce pride has been evident throughout this whole pandemic.
I agree.
The way that people have bought into what we're doing and meet the needs of the kids, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
And so I think this is a great token of appreciation. We did the Christmas bonus, but this is just at a whole nother level and very well deserved.
I agree. I agree.
So thank you for everybody if this is approved.
When do you plan on presenting this proposal to ESSR or whoever you
Yeah.
present it to? And generally, how long does it take? I know you said that this would be hopefully usable at the end of the school year.
Right, yeah, ESSER has to be, the application has to be completed and at the state by March 15th. So we're well underway with that, you know, our proposal's in good shape. As far as approvals go, that's really up to the state, but they have to approve theirs by pretty quick turnaround. I'm talking 2 to 3 weeks, because the federal government's requiring the state to have deadlines. So we have a deadline at the state has a deadline for US Department of Ed, and it's pretty close to, 2 to 3 weeks out.
So at least April 15th.
I would think somewhere in April, we would know what we're looking at as far as approval goes, I would think. Does that sound about right?
Yes, it does.
We're so fortunate to be in school, reading the newspapers across the country and all the schools that have not been in session this year, and the sacrifices our teachers and our staffs all across the board have made so that our children can be in school. It's just phenomenal, and I'm so proud of you and your leadership, and Jeff and the COVID task force. They've just done such a great job, because it was a scary time to go to school.
It is.
And everybody's just stepped up to the plate. It's just
Absolutely.
amazing.
It's been an amazing year, and we've learned a lot. There are a lot of new things we've implemented this year as a school system. A lot of things will stick around forever. I mean, the way education is looked may look like this for a long time to come. It's part of innovating and changing as you need to, but some of these changes have been really good for us. And, but no, it's great that we've been able to open the doors and have school for those who chose to come in person. That's fantastic. And our staff did an amazing job.
Any other comments? All right, let's take a vote. All those in favor of the proposal, say aye. Aye, none opposed. I can tell that one.
Okay, fantastic. We will move forward with that.
Okay, and about that COVID task force.
Yes, and I'll call Dr. Elliott up.
All right. Good evening, everyone. We're excited to be here tonight to be able to say that on Saturday, we did have a successful event here on this very campus to vaccinate around 360 individuals is what I think our last count was when we were looking at it. So we were excited to be able to offer that for all our employees who wanted to do that, as far as our staff that come in here on a regular basis. And we are so glad to be able to do that and get them in on the weekend. And I want to say thank you so much to our nurses, to our operations team, to several of the staff from around here who spent their day on Saturday to make sure that that happened. Laura Hudson and Mr. Kaiser and Hal Taylor had a big role in that, as putting that together. And then hats off so much to Cherokee Pharmacy for the pharmacists there, and also the workers from there that came and helped us out. A wonderful experience for our people to be able to go through that and have that opportunity. So just wanted to start off right off the bat and say it was a great event.
What percentage of our teachers did not take it?
Well, you know, we would probably say about 50% came through this weekend. However, we know that some had made some appointments with the health department and other organizations, like some of the area stores that are pharmacies that are offering it already. So we don't know exactly how many have totally gotten it at this point in time, but probably about 50% came through this weekend.
But by the time it's over, you think that it'll be 75, 80?
We don't have that number exactly yet, so that's something we would like to know.
I had a parent approach me today about it, about the teachers who did not choose to do it.
And there's some different reasons for that, I believe. I know that, you know, as you saw and have seen on our weekly data reports, we've had some staff who have had to be isolated because they've had COVID probably or something, and so they did not choose to get it at this time.
I wonder what percent of ours have already had COVID, because a lot of people have had it. That would
Sure.
really increase our percentile.
Sure. And
Yes,
some have traveled, you know, some traveled to other counties that were offering it 2 weeks ago or whatever the case may be. But, you know, we are not allowed at this point to really
Right.
ask who's had it, who has it. And it's not a requirement for a job or anything like that at this point. That would take a legislative change, so.
Well, that's what I told her. I said, you know, we cannot just ask, or they cannot ask.
Yeah, we can't put a sticker at the door of somebody who's had it or not, you know, none of that. So it's just, yeah, but I understand. You know, people will ask, but we can't really divulge that.
And you could get it from other organizations that you
Right.
belong to, too.
Right.
So a lot of them, I'm sure, have already had it.
could have.
But you had enough availability that anybody who wanted it could
Yes.
sign up and get it through the school if they chose.
And that was the great thing. Ms. Hudson sent out a sign-up sheet, a sign-up genius, basically, for anybody who wanted to do that. And so they were able to schedule a time, and we made sure that once all those, the interest survey that we had given and also the sign-up, that those numbers matched, and worked with the pharmacy on assuring that we had the doses for those who had chosen to do that. So that was a wonderful opportunity that we were able to provide. So great news about that. Also, the other good news, of course, is we all have been watching is in our community, those cases are coming down, and we're excited about that. Our numbers hopefully will continue to move downward after spring break, and we can see what the spring holds. We'll have another COVID task force meeting the week when we return after spring break to evaluate how things are going. But during that meeting and around that week, we'll be making some, looking ahead and trying to make some decisions on the spring events that are coming forward at the end of the school year, and try to provide some guidance, especially at the high school level, but also our elementary and middle school for spring events.
Yeah, and one thing I would just add, you know, of course, we're not gonna dictate what people do over spring break, but I would just say again, be careful, make smart choices, you know, wear your mask, wash your hands, try to social distance the best you can, regardless where you may be, if you're in Cleveland or in the beach or wherever you may be. Let's just be smart so when we come back, we can continue with the school year as planned. So that's our hope.
And the final topic that we're really focused on now is preparing for our summer programming, our summer initiatives, our learning camps at the elementary school. We have decided to hold those at 3 of our elementary school locations, Mayfield, Ross, and at Blythe Bower. And so our students from all our elementary schools will be able to attend if they qualify and they get an invitation for that camp. And so, but we will have it in those 3 locations. In the middle school, we'll be holding a summer camp during the month of June. And of course, the high school will be doing their credit recovery programs that they do during the summer. So we're gonna have a busy summer, a lot of staff working, especially in May and June for a majority of the time. And but we're excited to be able to provide that opportunity. The funding formula came through regarding funding for our elementary and middle school programs. And we traditionally have had funding secured each year to take care of our credit recovery at the high school as well. So that is in the works. This month is about identifying staff and getting those locked up. And then in the month of April, we'll be notifying families and inviting our students to sign up and be a part of that program.
Now, there will be bus transportation. You only have it at 3 schools, so you'll have to redo your whole routes and everything to cover
everybody?
Yeah, just Hal and I have been working through that, and so the routing will be similar in those communities, those school communities, and then bring them to the school site where those students will go. So if you attend Candies Creek and you're coming to the Kent, you'll be at the Ross site. If you're going to Arnold or Stewart currently and you're an attendee, you'll be at Mayfield. And then Blythebauer will hold its own site.
Pretty close to where you live.
Yes. Okay. All right, well, that's our report tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Elliott.
Thank you.
Is there school safety?
School safety resource update, Mr. Moore's coming in.
Here, I'm gonna pass out something. Well, Cody, can you pull that up for me? Thank you. This is just kind of a paper copy of the information that'll be going on, so you'll have it, you can refer to it. Just kind of tell you what we're doing with our safety grant money, improvements we're making in the schools, in our school system for that money. Thank you, Cody. Each year, we apply for, and it's a real easy process, we apply for really 2 grants that come through the state. The first one being, they started this 2 years ago, I believe, the SRO grant. And the most you can apply for is $35,000. And we apply for that. That kind of offsets some of our costs for our SRO program. And then we have a safety grant that we can apply for that's worth a little bit more money. They basically tell you this is the amount of money that you can get. And the grant process is really give us a budget on how you're going to spend this. So the money that we received this year is $117,943. A little bit of carryover in there, like $1,000 from last year. But we applied for that, and then they want you to, you have to build a budget, tell them how do you kind of divide this out and where you're going to prioritize and what are you going to spend it on. So Cody, if you let's hit the second one, second view, 72130. Scroll down. Every year I work with Cindy, and part of this money also, we allocate $20,000 towards SROs as well. I believe our yearly cost for SROs is about $350, about $350,000. That's the relationship that we have with the police department. So roughly I can put we can put $55,000 towards that. Helps a little bit, every little bit helps. So we put $20,000 towards our SRO program. $3,500 goes towards our Apogee, and that is the app that we have. It's the program we have. It does the call outs. It used to be Blackboard Connect. We use Apogee now. Cody, if you have any questions, he can really speak more to it. And in spending this money, I work very closely with Cindy, with Cody, with Hal, to get these things installed and these programs installed. So Apogee, sorry, hard to say, it costs about $3,500 a year for us to be able to have that program, do the call outs for canceling school, if we need to make emergency text and phone calls and emails. That's that program, and I'm sure it does quite a bit more as well. If you'll go to the next. We have $1,000 in this budget this year. We talked about this back in the summer. We want to revisit with our admin teams active shooter drills and training for our schools and our school admins. We plan on doing that sometime this summer. When things kind of get a little bit slower and we can get all admin together, we can pay our SROs are trained. It's called Alice training, and they're trained in Alice training, so they can work with us on that. And we'll need that $1,000 to pay for their overtime, their time to do that. If you'll go.
Next one.
Yes.
One question about that. I think this is very important. You get all the administrators together do we ever do an active training at each individual schools? Because the makeup is different, like Arnold's got different levels. And do we ever do an active at each individual school?
We haven't. Now, our SROs, they will train at our schools. They'll do that from time to time. I don't think they've done that in a while just because of the current climate that we're at and kind of, you know, with COVID and all.
When they've
And all
gone in the
that.
past, have you gone to each individual school? Because each building's different and everything.
Right.
I know the sergeant and the SRO team did at one point, and since I've been here, go to each school and do inspections and do some planning and thinking about that. So, you know, sometime we want to know more about that, we can invite the sergeant to come to a meeting and give a
I just, you know,
presentation.
Candy's Creek's one level was laid out good, and you got somebody like Arnold's different and they're all
Yeah,
different. I just
Yeah.
think each individual school, I don't know, is
I think they could probably do
25
some kind of general overview at some point. Of course, we don't go into specifics because that's one part.
right.
State law protects that from open records, but that's something, of course, we won't want to do is give out specifics on safety plans, but we can do some kind of general presentation at some point with the board.
When I was at the high school, we always did it, probably you were, Doug.
Yeah, and you would
In
do.
one time, but I think it needs to be done tailored for each each school's.
Yeah, there are specific plans and the SRO teams, they work with their sergeant, work with their team and work with administrators to do that. But I don't go to all those trainings and things like that, but
It's pretty intense training.
they do have specific plans for the school buildings.
If we ever change principals at a school, does that building principal,
They have
do
to,
they up?
they work with us, yeah.
And what you want to try to do, what you're referring to, I believe, is what we've done in the past is we do a tabletop.
Right.
In which we go and would look at the SRO and the sergeant, police, even sometimes the tackle unit or SWAT team, or whatever they want to be called, whatever they're called, can do a tabletop about this is what this would look like. This is how we would come in. This is what our process would be and the drill would be. And so, yeah, we need to do more tabletops. We need to do
Sure.
tabletops. Absolutely. Cody, go ahead. And the maintenance of plant, this is where the lion's share of the money is spent in this grant. We have $50,000 budgeted towards, and this is what we've, in the last couple of years, this is the initiative that we've kind of taken with this, is that we want to upgrade our communication systems in our schools, and our intercom systems in our schools. Some of them are very much outdated. They needed to be replaced. Some ones that were working were just kind of being held together, weren't working very well. So we started using this money to replace those systems. This year, we have Yates and Ross to replace. And Cody was actually speaking about it this morning. You want to tell him a little bit how that, because I worked through him and through his vendors to kind of get this done, so.
Yeah, so this year's budget will actually include Gates, Ross, and Stewart. We're actually removing the old systems that it's even become difficult to get parts for, so if it does go down, they can be out for a while. And so this is great to be able to replace those and give reliable communication systems. And once again, not to go into details, but it's not just intercom system. It actually has safety features built in that allow us to communicate quickly with the school in automated ways.
Intercom systems have come a long way since any of us were in school, let's put it that way.
Our next big budget item there is $30,000 that we have budgeted towards cameras. And that is adding cameras, replacing cameras, and even on buses as well. We have those worked in to this number as well. We are going to be adding some cameras to Candy's Creek. In the building of Candy's Creek, there were some needs in there that just, the cameras weren't put in there in some of the main hallways. So we're going to be adding cameras in Candy's Creek, as well as replacing some cameras that need to be replaced in other buildings. Cliff went around, Cliff Eason met with principals last week. He went with, I guess, representative from Central Technologies, and they were looking at different areas and where those need to be added. So we have $30,000 budgeted for that. Another great addition this year, or or a project we're getting done, and we talked about it last week, I believe, in the site committee, is adding the crosswalk warning lights at the high school there on Raider Drive, which is going to be a great addition. It's not only going to help us during beginning of school, end of school, but also during football games and other events, baseball games and other events that take place there, so people can cross Raider Drive there safely. That's going to be a nice addition. And we're working with the city as well to be able to get that installed. And that'll be great. The last item we have there is addition of some emergency radios, the handheld radios that we need. We have added some admin staff that need those to be able to be in proper communication in case there is some type of event. And those things are not cheap, but we have $3,000 budgeted for new radios. That all adds up to about it has to add up to the penny, so it's $117,943.09.
Money well spent. Anybody?
Very much needed.
So all this is gonna be done prior to August?
Yes,
Yes, spend this money down.
it will be.
A teacher very astutely pointed out to me after what happened with the Capitol in January, that teachers live in that fear all the time, that there'll be an active shooter. I don't mean that they go to work and they're afraid, but they live with the knowledge that they have to know what to do in an emergency like that. And it's been that way since, back in Colorado when that happened. And so I thought, I hadn't thought about that, but the people that worked in the Capitol, they were fearful. But how many schools have experienced the same thing? And, nobody should have to experience that. We have to be prepared.
Well, and I'll just add, we want to continue to train so that our teachers, our principals, and our staff know what to do. It just becomes part of your instinct that if this happens, this needs to occur. And it can happen. Today, sadly, in Arkansas, the first day that a group of students came back to in person, there was a shooting in a school. I don't know the results, but I happen to see that headline, and you just don't know. So we want to do all we can. Of course, we're not just putting in hardware, but, things like capturing kids' hearts and building those relationships and putting in place. That's what the research points to, is spending money on those kind of things will help prevent, hopefully, catastrophes from happening. Now, you just never know, and we always want to be safe, and I won't say that capturing kids' hearts and social emotional learning will solve all issues, but I think it goes a long way towards our kids trusting our adults in the building to go to if something's happening. So I feel like we're doing a good job, but then again, like I said, anything can happen anytime. We just need to be ready, and I think we're well on our way of doing that.
And I can't say enough about our SROs and the relationship we have with Cleveland Police Department.
Absolutely.
And the priority we have put as a school system on SROs. I can remember when I first came to Cleveland in 1995, started teaching in 1995, Jeff Griggs was the first SRO. And he was walking down the hallway, and I saw him and I spoke to him. And that was the first year, I believe, that Cleveland had an SRO in the school system. I'm from Shelby County. We always had police officers in Shelby County in school. In Millington High School, Bobby Goss was the Shelby County deputy sheriff that was assigned to Cleveland High School and had been there since the 70s. That was part of it. And and I can remember that first year or two of that SRO program, people in the community were just a little taken back by the fact that we had to have that, but it is what it is. And we've had a wonderful relationship with Cleveland Police Department. They've done a great job for us. Anything we ask them to do.
What I think is so important is that the officers have a good relationship with our students.
Mm-hmm.
And they've learned to trust them and they will go to them. And I remember when my granddaughter, they moved to Nashville, lived here, Officer Bobby over at,
Dr. Ruth,
Ross. Yeah, he would have lunch with the kids,
Mhm.
you know, and they just loved him.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for all of our schools.
Yeah, no, our SROs build relationships with our kids. There's a great one out in the hallway right now.
Yes.
For us, but
right?
But they get to know our kids by name, and they do eat lunch with them, and they do walk the hallways with them, and go sit in the library, and all those kind of things, so it's important, very important.
Officer Mylan at Stewart taught the children how to raise the flag and fly it and how to lower it and fold it at the end of the day. I mean, that was what he took on as a job for himself to teach the kids. It was great.
They have, they've taken great pride in this program for our
I
schools.
feel like the kids will go to them sometimes when they might not even go to the counselor.
Absolutely.
You know,
All
so
the
it's a
time.
wonderful
I'll tell
program,
you.
wonderful.
There's a lot of things that get taken care of because of those relationships with kids too. A lot of things get stopped, and students, you know, get found out, and we head off a lot of things with those relationships.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you.
Okay, we can move on then. And I guess our next is our student representative, and we'll look forward to hearing from Skylar next month and keep the family in prayer. So Charlie, it's on to you now.
The SI committee met recently, we have two recommendations for the board. First one is to terminate the present custodial contract with HES as allowed by our current contract and pursue discussion about the custodial service with SSC under the bid through TIPS, Tennessee, what is that now, Tennessee Interlocal,
The interlocal purchasing system.
okay? And that's our recommendation for the number one term.
So if that's a motion from the site committee, is that what that
Yes,
is,
ma'am.
Charlie? We don't need a second because it's from a committee. So is there anyone that has any questions or comments? If not, we'll vote. Go ahead, Charlie, and call for the vote.
That's all, everybody, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Number two, to move forward with all the facility improvements as outlined on the site committee agenda, and that was items 2 through 8. And a recommendation and motion is to approve that one too, Madam Chairman.
And since we don't need a second, we can go ahead and call for the vote.
All in favor?
Aye. Well, that was good. Good site committee, y'all did your work, and we're ready to go. Dr. Dyer, you have anything else?
I do not.
Anybody on board? Well then, Tom,
Do,
okay.
in yesterday's banner, there was a really, really good article from this teacher at Cleveland High School named Jeremy Finch talking about African American history to the children, how he presented it, and the effectiveness of that. It was a really good front page article, as a matter of fact. And then as you went through a little bit further, maybe to the letters to the editor, there was a letter or an article from a young man named Zeke Kyle, Cleveland Middle School, and he was given a student's perspective on closing schools due to inclement weather, which was agreed with us. And he said he understood how the decision is difficult but necessary to make. So we like to hear from our community, we like to hear from our teaching community, but our student community also. And these people are thinking and expressing opinions, which I think is really good.
Right, Mr. Finch is fairly new to the school. I think he's been there for 3 or 4 years now, and I mean, you talk to students in those classes and they're engaged and they're really enjoying their experiences in his classroom. So proud of him, proud of the work he's doing, glad he's part of our school system. And glad our students are reaching out and putting things in the paper and expressing their views as well. So that's important, that's good.
And one more thing,
Someone did ask me, is that an elective class? His class?
It is,
It's my fault. It's not required,
It's
but
not-
the student wants to take it.
but if you want to take that, you can.
Okay.
the other thing that was in our reports from the schools, I noticed we had some math champions from Arnold School that won a math contest that they went to. There were 36 groups and they came in first. So
And also, and I can't recall her name right now, off the top of my head, but our student, the Boys and Girls Club Student of the Year came from Cleveland High School. So we'll need to have her in and spotlight her maybe in April or May as well.
we got some outstanding young people.
We do, outstanding, absolutely.
Anything else? Okay, we will adjourn by general consent. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,